Hello, I'm Kelpip, and welcome to Final Fantasy XIV. So, the game launched today, and I've logged in to do a bit of playing, and I thought I would just hit go on Fraps and ramble and kind of talk a little bit about the game and its background and where it's kind of going, and about some things that I might do with it. I don't know. But I just kind of thought we'd just go and see what happened. And the other thing you might notice is that I have got a shocking cold, and talking really isn't working out particularly well, so I'm expecting to get sort of 10 minutes into this and kind of give up. So as I said, it's the early access has kind of officially started today. But the game has been in beta for a good 6 months or more, and been through several phases. And I've kind of been on and checked it out in each phase, and it's got better and better in each time, and it's looking like a really great game and a really nice product that they've actually eventually ended up with. Obviously, this isn't the first time that Final Fantasy XIV has been released. It originally came out in 2010 when it was helmed by Hiromichi Tanaka, Square, and they did their usual Square Enix thing of walling themselves off from the rest of the world and not really seeing where games or gameplay or people's preferences were going. And the 1.0 version of Final Fantasy XIV was a bit shit. There wasn't an awful lot to do apart from grinding and crafting and occasionally doing the initial your main quest line, which kind of cropped up once every few levels. Combat didn't feel particularly inspired, and whereas Final Fantasy XI had been a huge sprawling world that felt amazing to explore and to wander around, and finding your friends on the other side of the world was like a really big deal. Final Fantasy XIV, they'd kind of in 1.0 just copy and pasted huge areas of land together, so exploring the world or making your way around wasn't much of an event or an experience. It was just kind of in all, it was terrible, and everyone threw their toys out of the pram, and rightly so. And after some initial excuses, Tanaka got the boot, and Square kind of apologised, and then they brought Yoshi P in, who said that he would kind of really, as well as continuing to develop Final Fantasy XIV as it was, he would helm rebuilding the game from the ground up, from the graphics engine to the gameplay to how it worked to everything. It's essentially a whole new game, and at the same time as developing the new game, they did continue working on the first version, and I did pop back occasionally, and it ended up being a much better game. It was cool. It was fun to play, and a lot of people, well, I say a lot, some people did end up sticking around and playing. Whoa. And the people that stuck around have kind of got a bit of preferential treatment at the moment, as in terms of being able to get in queues first and being automatically eligible for early access and having chocobos early and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, and I've played a couple of classes. We'll talk about classes and things in a minute. Up to sort of level 20, and the combat feels good. There's no getting around the fact that it is very much more like, I hate to say it, World of Warcraft than Final Fantasy XI in terms of the combat, but they're kind of particular. There's something about the way it feels that still feels like a Final Fantasy game. It's a lot. It's still slower than a lot of MMOs. There's like a 2-second GCD on abilities and things, so it's a lot kind of slower. Your decisions and your abilities are a lot more can be considered and thought about rather than being lightning reactions. I've played an archer, which is what I am at the moment, and oh my, I'm level 15, and I played a marauder up to 20 so far, and I've had a bit of a play around with conjurer, which is like a caster class, and but that's one of the things I'm really enjoying about this game, is you can kind of switch around what you want to play on the fly. There's no reason to have ults. You can just keep changing and get bored, level a new class. It's like each of the crafts are a class in themselves. So if I want to make cloth clothes, I take the weaver class, and you change classes just by let's me think, equipping the weapon or the tool. So this is kind of a cool thing. So in here, as well as having a normal inventory, you have an armory chest, and in the armory chest there's all your weapons and your hats and your chests and your gloves and your belts and whatnot. So you could just pick up anything that you've got and equip it, and it essentially changes your class. So if I equip like an axe, I'm all of a sudden a marauder, which is cracking. And to kind of get around the fact that you're going to end up having billions of sets of equipment, you can kind of save setup. So I can go into here and I can click the wrong thing. I can say, right, I want to equip all my marauder stuff. Bam, and there I am, geared up as marauder in my swanky red armor. Yeah. So yeah, I've done a bunch of questing. Each class has a whole, series of quests to follow, and you've got the main storyline for the city in which you start, which is based on the class that you're starting with. And there's just plenty to do. I've not reached a point yet where I've even thought, oh god, what am I going to do now? There's a queue of things that I want to do. There are 3 dungeons lined up that I need to go and do in various cities. And in fact, as soon as I switch off the record on this, that's exactly what I'm going to go and do. But I'm really looking forward to playing it. I don't know I don't know what kind of content I'm going to put out. I might just kind of record random stuff and see what comes out and throw it up. And if people like it, I'll carry on doing it. If they don't, I won't. And same as normal. But I like these carbuncles. So you get to use carbuncles if you're the Arcanist class, I think. And yeah. So as well as classes, there are also jobs, and jobs are like a specialization for a class. So once you've got, I think there are kind of requirements that you need a couple of classes to a particular level, then you can do a quest to get a job. So I think if you're an Arcanist, here we go, I'm going to be spreading misinformation, but for example, I think if you've got Arcanist with your carbuncle up to level 30 and you've got Conjurer up to a particular level, then you can become a summoner and summon monsters to come and help fight for you. Which kind of adds another layer and keeps it all super interesting, and the jobs are really kind of tailored for specific tasks and groups, whereas the classes are more kind of, a lot more fun for soloing. Another great thing about this is once you've got a couple of classes, or a few classes, you can start pulling their abilities in to each other. So for example, as a marauder, I've got access to a few other classes' abilities, and if I wanted to, I could bring a heal in by going, okay, right, I'm going to drag a cure in there, I'm going to put cure on my hotbar, so now I'm a marauder, but at the same time, because I've leveled Conjurer in 1.0, bam, I suddenly have a cure. That's not something you would do, but it's something you can do, which is kind of cool. And the other thing I'm really liking, I'm going to start talking about random stuff as normal, is if you listen. When you end up in crowded places, it's not just the area that generates like kind of the crowd noise. It's actually the crowd. So if there's no one here, it would be kind of quiet. But as there are lots of people here, there's crowd noise. It's all really nice. It's quite immersive. Same as if you're fighting out in the outside of the city. And if you're fighting with a bunch of people doing kind of like public quests, for want of a better word, they're called fates. You get kind of crowd battle noises, so it's great. There's so much that I'm actually liking about it, and I think it's. I can't believe they've actually got away with it. If any other company said, you know, we're gonna take our game to pieces and make it from scratch, and I mean, even when they said they would, I kind of laughed and just thought, no, this is going to be a bad idea, and it's turned out to be absolutely an amazing idea so far. Which in some ways great, and in other ways it's not so great because it's another game that I want to spend a lot of time playing, and there are far too many of those as it is. So there we go. Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn. A sparkly new Final Fantasy MMO that looks stunning. It has amazing character, and it's probably the best cat girl dress up simulator on the market, which is pretty much all you want. So yeah, I'm going to leave that there. Sorry if this has been a bit uninteresting and a bit unfocused and a bit rambly, but then that's just me and I ramble, so if you press play you kind of knew what you were going to get. So yeah, I might throw up some more Final Fantasy XIV soon. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.